everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our Paws on Netflix podcast.
Today we're covering the first Doraemon movie, Stand By Me. And
Yes.
no, this is not a song.
Yes. And this movie is based on the original anime manga series, or animanga series of the same name. It's a compilation film of the first volumes of the manga, showing the life of Nobita, a young boy who has changed the course of his life for the better when his future great-grandson, so familiar, returns to the past now with Doraemon to ensure he has a better life.
Yes. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification bell to on future podcasts and Lola Pause videos.
Yes, and follow us on Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram at Paws On Animation. Feel free to share our videos, and thank you so much for your support and listening.
Yes. So, we have heard about Doraemon quite a few times, both online and on Netflix and things,
And even in our Japan crate, we got some Doraemon gum
Yes.
and some Doraemon candy.
Yes. So clearly this is a really big franchise in Japan. And apparently I think it was the franchise's 80th anniversary, or at least the company that made it. So in honor of that, they made a CGI remake film that does the first 6 volumes of the manga, or first so many episodes of the anime, and compiles it into one whole movie, like it's a big saga broken into 2 or 3 parts.
Mm-hmm. And it's nothing like I expected. It was really different, but it was a good different. It has that wholesomeness that probably exists in the anime and the manga,
Right.
because of the time period it's from. And the biggest surprise was hearing Nobita and going, "Oh my gosh, it's Ichigo, it's Johnny Young
Yes,
Flash."
yes.
That was
It's
the
like, oh,
biggest
God.
surprise.
Yes. So with here, Doraemon is forcibly has to stay with Nobita to make sure that he takes more chances in his life, because apparently he doesn't make the best decisions at all his entire life, and that sort of affects his family descendants down the line to a point where they are struggling, they have no money, they're in debt and things, and it gets really, really bad, they can't get out of. So this future relative comes back and uses Doraemon to help him, make better decisions, take chances, where he has a better life and better outcome for his adult self and later descendants, so it doesn't end up where they can't get out of their situation.
And if this sounds familiar, it is. It's Meet the Robinsons.
Yes.
They're not we didn't know that because we'd never watched this, but as soon as we were watching, we were like, this is Meet the Robinsons.
Yeah,
so
it is.
It definitely is the inspiration. We don't know if the writers ever gave credit or attributed, but we can tell you this is definitely where Meet the Robinsons was birthed from.
Right, definitely, because when we saw it, at first I kind of didn't catch it until, they had explained, the beginning of the plot, and then we will realize it's the movie. It's just the difference. Instead of a son, it's like a really, really distant relative. So, and you don't know how far into the future this is. You're guessing it's maybe a century, because they say 20 seconds. So it's kind of crazy how it goes this far, and they get time travel eventually, clearly. And I do like that they kind of stick to the time period of the anime and manga. You're not going to see a lot of things from now, like smartphones and iPads and the internet and all that. None of that's really in there. The most they do is when they are in the future. Of course, you have the cars and the future buildings. The only thing they really do is put in some real life company names in there from Japan, like with Sony and stuff. They do put them in the movie, but aside from that, that's really it. They really do stick to the time period that the show and manga stays in, and then make up a future scenario just like it, so that way it doesn't feel like it's gonna be dated.
Now, Nobita is very spastic. He has no self-confidence. He's a spaz. There's no other way to put it. And
spaz.
You don't know how he ended up this way when it first comes on. You just see his personality and how it's happening and the things that he says. And then as the movie goes along and you meet friends and classmates and his parents and so forth, then you learn more and more why he's this way.
Right.
And why he really needs to help from the future.
Right.
To the past now.
Right. And with that, they sort of go through, they have maybe almost 2 hours to fill in, so they kind of have to cut a lot of corners. Now, not in the animation, it's in 3D, but they try to make it look as outrageous as it would be in 2D and sticking to the designs, taking note from the Peanuts movie who started that trend. They decided to only show the things that had to do with the story. That would be the choices he would make and actions he would take to where he would become a different and better person in his life. And when you see him accomplish that, Doraemon has this little device that you see the future, and the picture starts changing depending on if he sticks to what he's doing and actually does better choices, then it'll be a better outcome and the family actually has better lives. Or if he just falls back and spazzes out and doesn't do it, then it goes back to being the bad outcome. So it kind of really hinges, his future hinges on every decision he makes, if he will be willing to change his life or just keep going as he is.
Yes. And the movie is very engaging the entire time. You've got some really hilarious moments, some really serious moments, some really dramatic moments. It's a wonderful compilation of these different genres in one movie.
Yeah.
And Johnny Young Bosch is perfect as the voice of Nobita. He really convinces you that he is this character. And it's so funny because he's normally these very strong characters, manly characters, characters that are hero MCs, but in this one, he isn't yet.
Yes.
And we're looking forward to seeing the second movie that is also on Netflix to see how he does in that. But he really carried this very well, and it's just a really fun movie to watch. If any of you are fans of the original Doraemon franchise, drop us a note and let us know more about it. And did you actually get a chance to watch the Netflix original movie?
Yes. And little last thing to point out is that, like we said, they compilate first 6 volumes of the manga. There were some points in there where you could tell there was some information missing.
Right.
Unfortunately, and I know they did their best. It actually had a lot of effort put into it to make sure it still told the story without those parts. But since it's way longer than just 2 hours, you could tell there was lots of information missing. They know Doraemon exists, so is the family, like just a drop of a hat. They go through inventions and things that help just like that. It really goes through lightning speed at one point when they're trying to really get through all those big points in the story. And there are other times when you don't know how this character got from point A to point B, or where this line come from. It's only been a day, and I guess you have to keep in mind that more time has passed and they just couldn't show it because they had a limit. But that's really the only thing really had to say about it that could have been better is if they had left a little more context, because it feels like they're jumping from thing to thing at certain points, especially when it gets to the more dramatic parts and when it go back and forth between the future and the past.
Mm-hmm. And like Meet the Robinsons, the most important thing for him to do was to make sure that he ends up marrying this particular girl at school.
Yeah.
And at first, there's another guy that likes her, and she seems to be gravitating toward him, and Nobita keeps screwing everything up. So the goal is to get her to like him more than she likes the other classmate. And it's so funny because all I kept saying is this Meet the Robinsons and Meet the Robinsons. If he doesn't marry the right girl, then everything goes wrong.
It's funny because that was going to be the plot of the second movie. They never made a sequel to Meet the Robinsons, but when I read it, that was the plot with him dating. So, yeah, now we see it kind of was the same thing.
So, if you have seen Stand By Me, the Doraemon movie, not the other movie, let us know in the comments below your thoughts. And if you haven't seen it, it's available to watch on Netflix along with the second movie, which we will be covering as well. Let us know what you think. We always enjoy getting your comments.
Yes. And be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification bell to get some future podcasts and all the pause videos.
Absolutely. Also, if you enjoyed this podcast, please give us a like and a share. We really appreciate you listening and joining us every podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainments.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.